We are gathered here today to address a critical aspect of our national security and financial logistics industry. That is the regulation of the armored vehicles, cash in transit, what we normally popularly call CITs, and bullion operation in Ghana. As you may recall, there were at least 5 regrettable armed attacks between 2021 and 2023, where 3 of these attacks led to the loss of lives of 3 police officers. The attackers were also successful in 3 of the robberies and took off with cash that was being transported by the cash in transit vehicles. The situation then raised serious issues of insecurity in the country, especially with respect to cash in transit operation. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, the attacks on cash in transit vehicles were frequent and successful, more so because there were lapses and weaknesses in the processes and resources for undertaking CIT, that's cash in transit operations, which included the use of soft metal body plating or soft skin vehicles by cash in transit entities and financial institutions, which could not hold armed attack at bay or armed attackers at bay. This vulnerability led to frequent attack on the soft skin CIT vehicles, resulting in injuries and the death of CIT crew and in some cases bystanders. As an important step, the Bank of Ghana issued a directive requiring all banks to transition from the use of soft skin vehicles to armored bullion vehicles, what we popularly call ABV, for enhanced security. Ladies and gentlemen, in spite of the above directives, some financial institutions and cash in transit bullion entities continue to use soft skin vehicles to carry out such serious activity, putting the lives of the crew members and the bullion at risk, including our police officers who escort them. The tragic incident involving attack on bullion van in past years served as a national wake-up call. They remind us that when it comes to safeguarding life and property, we cannot afford to compromise on standard. Against this background, the government of Ghana, through the Ministry of Interior and other key stakeholders, has taken decisive action to institute comprehensive guidelines and standards as well as other measures to regulate this vital space. The regulation of armored bullion vehicles for cash in transit and bullion services and these other activities is a matter of paramount importance to the government and the ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to inform you that Ghana has taken significant steps forward in enhancing the security of our financial logistics sector through the rollout of a comprehensive guidelines and standards to regulate the importation, retrofitting, usage, and decommissioning of armored bullion vehicles. The guidelines and standards cover, among others, the following key areas: importation requirement and certification process, procedures and certification requirements for importation armored bullion vehicles into the country, ensuring compliance with international and national safety standards, operational and maintenance standards, safety protocol, crew training requirement, vehicle tracking, communication system, and coordination with security agencies during movement, procedure for inspection, testing, and compliance monitoring, personnel qualification, including but not limited to drivers and crew members, etc., specification for retrofitting and modification, approved technical standard for vehicle armoring, ballistic protection, and equipment installation to guarantee operational safety, safe and proper decommissioning of the ABVs, environmentally responsible and secure processes for retiring or repurposing armored vehicles which are no longer fit for service, recovery and redundancy strategy for contingency scenarios. Ladies and gentlemen, these guidelines and standards shall strictly be enforced alongside the standard operating procedure on armored bullion vehicles by the Ghana Police and the Bank of Ghana. As the first step towards enforcing this guideline and standard, the Minister of Interior hereby issued a 45-day notice, effective Monday, 8th December 2025 to Monday, 21st January 2026, within which period the following steps should be adhered to. All financial institutions and entities in cash and transit business with soft-skinned vehicles are to park them immediately and proceed to apply for the necessary clearance for retrofitting of the said vehicles at a certified retrofitting center. 2. Entities operating in the cash in transit bullion business are to cease operation henceforth and proceed to register and acquire the needed license and certification from the Ministry of Interior before operations. 3. Entities engaged in retrofitting of armored bullion vehicles for the cash in transit and bullion services are to cease operation henceforth and proceed to register and acquire the needed license and certification from the Ministry of Interior before operations. All stakeholders should note that after the 45 days notice period, there shall be nationwide enforcement and full implementation of the guideline and standard, including taking legal action, applying sanction against those who breach the directives. Implementation and enforcement. The successful rollout of this guideline will be followed by a phased implementation plan which includes accreditation of authorized importers and retrofitters who meet the specified technical and security standard, regular inspection and compliance audit to ensure adherence to safety and operational protocol, mandatory training and licensing for drivers, escort personnel, and others engaged in bullion and CIT operations, a structured decommissioning process to ensure that retired vehicles are rendered inoperable and properly documented. As part of the implementation plan, the Inspector General of Police has already been tasked to form an enforcement unit to ensure strict compliance with the guidelines. The enforcement unit will report to the implementation committee, which is duly constituted with representation from the security and intelligence agencies, Bank of Ghana, and the Ghana Coal Board. I therefore urge all stakeholders to take advantage of the 45-day notice period to comply with the guidelines and regularize their operations with the ministry. Let us work together to ensure CITs and bullion operations are secured, efficient, and safe so that we can protect lives, prevent financial losses, and promote economic growth and development. Ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate that non-compliance with this guideline and standard will not be tolerated. Any organization or individual found violating these guidelines will attract administrative sanction, including suspension of operational license and possible prosecution under applicable laws. Government will not compromise on the safety and security of its citizens and financial institutions. Let us all comply with the guideline to avoid the consequences of enforcement. As we officially rule out these guidelines and standards for the importation, retrofitting, usage, and decommissioning of armored bullion vehicles, let us renew our shared commitment to safety, responsibility, and excellence. Let us remember that the value of a nation's security infrastructure is not measured only by its strength, but by the life it protects. Every police officer, driver, and operations staff who participate in a CIT or bullion transport deserve to return home safely after every mission. Ladies and gentlemen, the development of this guideline and standard was not an isolated effort. It is the result of extensive consultation and collaboration among key institutional stakeholders, which include the police, Ghana Police Service, the Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Finance, Custom Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Coal Board, as well as industry experts like the Ghana Association of Banks, private security organizations, and entities in the CIT bullion transport business. I recognize and commend the leadership and technical contribution of all institutions and individuals who played a role in crafting this guideline and standards. We greatly value your dedication to institutional integrity and national security. As Minister responsible for the Interior, I want to use this opportunity to reiterate government's resolve to safeguard the life and property, promote professionalism in the financial logistics sector, and enhance public confidence in the secure movement of cash and valuables nationwide. I want to thank all of you. May God continue to bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you so much.